Have you always loved music? Are you fond of learning the history and its theories? Are you fond of listening to it? Or you like performing it? Being an elementary music teacher is an exciting decision. As a music teacher, you have to help your students appreciate music, admire, and understand how music works. And as what I've said at the beginning of this course, through music subject, students will be able to discover their potentials at an early age. But you have to remember that teaching music is not always easy. You will encounter many challenges. Now, in this lesson, you will learn different strategies and techniques that will be very helpful for your job as music teachers. One of the first things you have to learn as music teachers is how to plan your curriculum. To begin, you have to make a map or you outline the different units or topics that you're going to discuss for the entire year. As you outline, think about the general domains of musical knowledge. This includes music theory and literacy. Kinahanglan nga kahibaw niyong students sa foundations of music before they go to complex or more challenging topics. Next will be the history and culture as they relate to music. In order for students to appreciate music, they should know the relationship of music with the history and culture. Then you also have to consider the instrumental and vocal performance. Of course, as music teachers, we don't only teach our students on how to understand the history, know the foundations, but we also have to teach them on how to perform and on how to apply their knowledge. For each class or grade that you're going to teach, decide on a set of goals for each of these domains. Mabitaw nang kung pagamunta og objectives or kung magama mo og objectives na adjuning tulo ka domains. We have the cognitive, the psychomotor, and the affective domain. Use a curricular strategy called the backward design, or what you want your students to know by the middle and the end of the year. In other words, you have to make specific goals that you want your students to achieve at the middle and at the end of the school year. Unsa may mong gusto nga ma-achieve sa imong students sa tunga-tunga o sa katapusan nga part sa inyong academic year. For example, you decide nga at the middle of the year, kinahanglan nga mag-start na akong students og practice on how to play the instrument. And at the end of the year, they have to play the instruments. Something like that. Next, as a music teacher, you also have to build in as many opportunities as possible for students to be active and work with all parts of their bodies and minds. As we all know, elementary students, mga bata pa na sila, mugbo na sila og attention span. So, with that, you cannot expect that students to listen to you, listen to the teacher for how many hours nga naminaw ra. That's why you have to build in many opportunities para sa students nga mahimo active. They have to move, they have to perform, they have to execute, they have to play. The more they will be engaged, the more they will be interested, the more they will appreciate the music. Now, if you'll ask, how? Saon man, ma'am? You have to remember that in elementary school, the best way to keep your students engaged is to make sure they have plenty to do all the time. Kinahanglan na sila buhaton kay kanang bata di na pwedeng magpuyo. Maglihok na sila, kinahanglan na sila nga naa sila buhaton. So keep in mind that some of your students may be entirely new to the world of school. Bago pa sila kay elementary mo pa'y pagsugod og eskwela. So di ka ka-expect nila og performance nga just like the higher levels or higher grades, and that even your oldest elementary school students are still developing self-control and regulation. As elementary teachers pohon, you must have taas nga pasensya. You have to understand nga ingon ana nga level ingon anang idara, lisod pag na sila i-control. So para makatch nimo ilahang attention, kinahanglan nga mohatag og activities nga interesado sila, nga maganahan sila. This means that as you plan each unit and lesson, you should build in as many opportunities as possible for students to be active and work with all parts of their bodies and minds. For instance, you have to let your students listen to music instead of just talking to them about it. Sa ingon ana nga level sa mga bata, dili na sila maka-cut-on dayon or dili na sila as in nga ma-absorb nila ang ilahang lesson kung imura nang isulti nila. They have to have experience with that. Kinahanglan ma-expose sila sa music. So you have to let them listen. Next, you have to let students play with variety of instruments. Again, let's highlight the word variety. Okay, so meaning klase-klase nga instruments. Dili kay kanira atong gamiton. Okay, no. You have to expose them or you have to let them play different musical instruments so that they will discover their potentials. They will know what instrument are they comfortable with, what instruments or what instrument do they like most. Kinahanglan nga maka-experience ang bata og klase-klase nga instruments so that for example kanang bata ga-expect siya nga ukulele ra ako mahibaw-an, but if imo na silang expose sa different or variety of instruments, they will maybe learn nga dili naman di ukulele akong pwede i-play, kamao man di pud ko og ani, and so on and so forth. So that's another technique. Next, let your students watch videos of musicians from different cultures. With this, students will be able to know the different musics from different cultures, and aside from that, they will be able to compare or differentiate the musics of different countries or different cultures. You can also show pictures to your students since ang mga bata ginahan na silang nasa tan-awon. If for example, para nang nindot imuhang pagka-present, nindot ang imong visual aid. So, their attention will be caught, and then mutan-aw sila ana, and they will learn from that. Lastly, provide students with lots of opportunities to sing and dance. Ideally, they'll also benefit from and enjoy opportunities to perform. Like, for example, in teaching the rhythmic symbols, kanang whole note, half note. Okay, so you can teach that using the rhythmic syllables, okay, and rhythmic movements. Okay, so some of the rhythmic syllables, for example, the whole note, you can clap for that and say ta, a, a, a. It means there are 4 beats. Ta, a, a. So, with that, students will be able to enjoy, since dili raman sila magtan-aw sa symbol nga whole note. They are going to perform, they are going to say something for that note. And you can also use the rhythmic movements. Okay, so for example, for the ta, a, you create a movement for that. It's either for ta, you have to jump, and then a, you have to turn around your hips or to move your hips like that. Okay, so that's another technique. To sum it up, in teaching elementary school, you have to consider the ears, the eyes, and the hands-on activites. Alright, now we're done. Always remember that there is no universal strategy to be used. Wala joy kanigyud mo ni gamiton, okay? As teachers, we have to be creative. Okay, naagyo na nato kung saan nato pagdala atong klase. I hope that today's lesson will guide you in performing your job well in the future, in becoming music educators. Thank you so much for watching and hope you've learned. If you have questions and clarifications, please comment down below and feel free to ask. Bye bye.